later some of the details when I have to get really, really close. So I hope that you are enjoying the program because I am live streaming to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Twitch. So you can catch me on one of those platforms, and if you can think of another platform you would like me to live stream to, just please send me a message on Facebook, or how about send me a smoke signal? Since I have some little Indian in me, I will be able to read that. Well, maybe not. Anyway, you get my point. So, shall we begin? What I've already started, and I'm going to reduce the size of this just slightly. What I have started for us already is this is 16 by 20 canvas, and I've already gessoed it, and I've put a base background color on it, a tan and kind of a light medium color, and then the underpainting is done through raw sienna, yes, raw umber and titanium white. Some of those colors mixed together to create values of light, medium, and dark, your most important values within any painting. So I've taken some of my paints already, and I'm using a crimson red, a dioxazine, it's hard for me to say that, but it's a purple is what it is, a Payne's gray, cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, and I think that's it. Yes. Normally I just use 3 colors, but I wanted to add something different this time. And if you don't have those colors, try to mix them somehow. You know, buy a little package of a variety of different oils. And if you're trying to mix acrylics and you don't have, say, raw umber, but you want to get that color, then put a little bit of the raw umber if you have it in the oil, and then come up with that color. One of my little secret tips that I give, because somebody taught me, I taught myself a lot, but I haven't taught myself the technology to do really good on opening up this show. So let's begin with our colors, and I've already have them on a palette, and I'm going to start up here at the top. And the color I decided was a medium. It's almost like a light chocolate. And so I'm just going to go in here, and that color should blend in with like butter, and it does perfectly. Now I can see I did not mix up enough of this paint. So I'm going to give you a general outline of what I'm doing here. And I might even leave some of that acrylics in there, because you do not have to cover up all your underpainting. But giving you a general idea. I can't get all the way to the top to do a gallery style painting, but you know that's the only kind that I do. Almost the only kind. So these are going to be my medium browns here, and let me add a little turpentine. Turpenoid is what it's called. Oh, you know what, babe? I do have somebody in my studio. Can you get it to getmarriedtoart.com on the bottom left, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. What's up?
The camera's right there. I gotta put a shirt on.
The camera's right there. Okay. He's Mr. Muscle Man tonight. Thankfully, I have some help at nighttime. During the day, I'm on my own pretty much. So you have a good idea what I'm doing with this color. Just filling in the medium brown that's there around the trees. And then that's going to go all the way over here. And if I have time, then I will mix up some more of that color. But right now, I want to get my basic shape in there. Okay. There's my helper right there, and he's going to get me a slide. Thank you. And I'm going to continue with this. It should say Married to Art in the bottom. Now this color gets a little bit lighter over here, so I'm going to put it in a lighter shade. Thank you so much. Now painting is just like good wine. It improves with age. So if you are painting every day, that's really where I'd like to see you. I'm going to come over here. I'd like to see you paint every day because that is the way you get much better at doing it. Just like anything else, practice, practice, practice. I love this scenery here because this Black Rock box was taken in Warsaw, Missouri when I was camping, and while I was walking around with my Nikon D3100 camera, and then I snapped a whole bunch of shots, and I just love the mailbox because it has a very rustic look to it, and it fits right in perfectly with this decor, with the trees and the woods and the kind of areas that just make a wonderful, wonderful painting. Nature, you can't beat it in doing these paintings. Okay. I see medium light over here, so I'm going to add some of that color, maybe a little tiny bit of gray, because the trees they've got some gray in them, some lighter color. I really don't want to use this brush because it has too much of the brown on it. Oops, I just added an extra little branch to that tree. Now all this just blends in perfectly. There's a tree here over on the left side, very light. Then this tree is even lighter, so I'm going to go with, add a little bit of white into this Payne's gray that I mixed. I want some more color in there because it needs to match up with the acrylics. And it does match up perfectly. I couldn't ask for a better match. Come down here around the tree trunk and down this way here. Trees, when you see them at a distance, you know, they're not really straight. There's really nothing in nature that's straight. Lots of curves. Then this tree here gets even lighter, so I'm just, and you can barely see the top of it. It blends out. I'm going to blend it in with some of that background color. Go over here on this other side and get this tree, very light, grayish color, ashy, almost looks ashy to me. And you can see that right in the center of it, I have some shadows, some dark areas. I'm going to go right into the house, the little mailbox house, barn, whatever it's called. Come over here and get this tree. Down here at the bottom, very light color. And then it has lots and lots of bark on it. That I can get a little bit later with my detail. Come along the top. And then I'm going to add the medium color in here. Actually, I want to add a little bit more of this gray. Yes, a little bit darker. And then I'm just doing jerky strokes, like beef jerky. You don't have to be very precise. You don't see much detail in anything that's that far away at all. I left some of that underpainting there because it just blends in. A little more Payne's gray coming in the center, even darker than that. Just slightly, that might be a little bit too dark. Then this one's very dark, so let me go a little bit darker right there. Add some more of that. Trees are rounded, so try to do them in cylinder shapes. And then this tree here's got some bark coming off to the side. I'm making jerky motions. I'm not worried about the bark, the detail, any of that. And I'll blend that in a little bit later with a dry brush. Okay, I do hope that you have your glass of wine, because at the 7 o'clock show, it's the adult show, mature adults, we drink. Salute. Next area I'm going to go to is the lightest area. The lightest area is already here. My underpainting has told me, just come down here, do one stroke, going all the way down, bracing my arm against my body for leverage and balance. Then come over here. This is the part of the mailbox that's got a nice highlight to it. It's a white door or opening, and then it has lots and lots of shadows to it. So when something is this old, it's easier, much easier to paint, for the simple reason that you don't have to have straight lines. This has got some white at the top. This is like a little I guess something on there that makes the door open, handle of some sort. That's what I want to say. Okay, where do I go next? That's got some light. This is going to be gray, but I'm going to add some white on the bottom just to give it a little more texture. When you're looking for something to paint, make sure that you have a crystal clear picture of what you're looking for, because that's so very important, that the picture is perfectly clear, so you're not frustrated with trying to figure out, well, what is that? Okay, now since I started at the top, I'm going to go back in with my Payne's gray and start up here, and I'm just going to cover over some of that white that I just did. This is actually much lighter than what was on the trees, so I need to add some white. And it's just got lots of little ridges on it, so I'm going to blend that in, maybe add a little dark areas at the top, kind of separate it from the trees. Bringing it in here, along the corner, and then it blends in here to this piece that looks like it's just a piece of wood. And one thing in painting I've learned over the years is not kick the easel. Number one, that's a good thing. And number two is not to muddy your colors. And what does it mean to muddy your colors? It means when you're going over the same thing over and over again. So do that stroke. And don't do 2 or 3 or 4 strokes of the same thing. That only makes a color not as pretty as you would like it. Okay. Then I'm going to come in here, and there's some of that same color in here. And I'm just going to be blending this. I'm going to come this way because I want to make some jerky movements. And get a smaller brush. This is the one that had the white on it, so I don't want to use that because I want to save that for my pink. I'll get another brush. This is a good blender brush for blending in those edges. This brush is totally dry. And I'm just blending color into this tree, leaving some of that underpainting. It's also a good way when you don't mix enough color to just bring it in there anyways. And there's like a white path going through there. I'll get that in a little bit later if I don't forget. Maybe I can do that now with this white paint on this brush. So I'm just going to take it and kind of go like this. Here's a little pathway. Of course, it doesn't go on the tree, but it goes in and it kind of swerves around here. Maybe goes up this way, and then you sort of lose that path. And then you just take a brush and blend that out so it doesn't look like that path is in the tree, because it certainly isn't. Blend, blend, blend. I did a lot of landscapes in Florida. I have family who live in St. Pete. Both my daughters live there. And they are some of the most fun things to do with the ocean. Some of my favorite paintings. And you can find my paintings on marriedart.com. In fact, you can find this picture and the first 10 people who go into my site and download it. You'll download it for free. And then eventually you'll have to pay a whopping 99 cents. Come on, friends, that's not going to break your pocketbook. 99 cents is nothing. So do go in and download, do a digital download. It's under catalog, photography, digital download. Okay, back to work. Now I'm going to go into a different color, so I'm changing brushes. And I kind of like this big fat brush. And this has a pinkish, this color here, it was created with the magenta. So I'm going to do these parts first. And yes, that blends in perfectly. It's the same tone. Well, what is tone? Tone is, it's not, there. Of course you have tone with music, but we're talking about same values. Is it a value 1? Is it a value 2? Value 1 is your darkest value, and then value 10 is your lightest, your white. So that's what you want to look for. You want strokes going all different directions, not just going across. Then it starts to get a little bit, all these pieces sort of remind me of a puzzle piece. Then they kind of start to fade. I'm going to make them really dark in here, and then I'm going to fade them out as I go down here. This one's pretty thick, so I'm going to get that in there. Then I'll add white. White will fade it, but I don't like adding a lot of white because white tones down your color too much. And then I'm going to go sideways with those colors, add a little bit of this pink that I mixed up because that's the right tone I want in there. That's the grayish color, so I can bring some of that gray in there as well. This brush picked up a little bit of blue, but that's okay. I don't mind it. Then, because the roof, I say roof, I'm Hispanic, because the roof has lots and lots of wear and tear on it. There's no sense in, this is a little bit darker, so I need to add some gray. There's no sense in being exact, folks. Putting some of that gray in there, but not covering up everything. Does it have a feel to being worn? No telling how old this is. Now I'm going to go with a little darker. I'm going to go with some light, some darker blue, and mix in with my pink because this color is starting to fade out. I'll go up here at the top, and the top has more of a brighter color, so I'm going to add some of that in here. Wear and tear. I could even add a few strokes in here if I wanted to, which I do. I definitely want to have some up there by the trees to separate the trees from the mailbox. So I'm going to just put one stroke there. Then you can see that is still part of the mailbox. And it's not the tree. Go across and bring down. Go across and then jump down. Across and jump down. Then I want to go a little bit lighter. I want some of this pinkish color in here. Whoops, that's too dark. I got a big old glob of pink paint on my brush. Just going every which way. You want to do that with your painting. Bring in some downward strokes, then going across again, but remember, not muddying my paints. Now it gets really light, so I'm going to use some of this pink up here that I saved. I might add just a few more darker strokes here. Where can I add one? Right there, that looks good. This one's nice and dark. And then that paint goes down here in the front. That color is right here. It has wear and tear on it as well. Then I'm going to make it just a little bit darker there. Why? I don't have a good reason, folks. I just decided at the last moment to do that. And then there's gray in there, so I need to get some gray on my brush. Let me grab some gray. Go in here, because that's worn. Different layers going in there. Keeping in mind that I am staying true to my underpainting. Now I want to add some of this crimson color down here to indicate there's layers. Going all the way across. I can just draw a line. Come down here and draw another line. Then I want to add a black, almost black. Just one line going around here. Here's a dark area, and then that just kind of curves through like that and then blends out. Lots and lots of ruckus. Don't go over that many times, because that will muddy my paint. And now I need my shadow. My shadow is right in here. Okay, and my shadow's got some bumps to it. Fits along with the scheme to the house. The little box, I mean. Okay, I like that. That is pretty much the color for that. Let me put another line up here with this brush. Just barely touching it. And I want a line going down here. Barely touching it. Here, same thing. I do have some extra paint that I use for my background colors. Okie dokie. Now I need to set some of these brushes down because I have too many brushes in my hand. Now for the beautiful blues. The blues. This color here is the darkest. It's right underneath that eave of the house. I guess that's what you could call it. And then it comes down here. And then there's a shadow in there, so I'm going to put some of that color up here. Okay, then it gets just a little tiny bit lighter, so I'll put some lighter paint on my brush. Not that light. Oop, way too light. How could I tell? It didn't blend in like butter. Remember, I said it should blend in like butter on bread. If you don't have that blend, then something is not right. Okay. Then I have this color down here, that really, really dark blue. So let me get that line in there. Bracing it against my arm. This is the same color here. It has a darker color on this side. And then it comes up over this way. And then just turning my brush around just like that. And then there's an area that's in there, but I need a smaller brush, a liner brush. So I'm going to try to do that. Try to get that little bit in there. Okay, where did my stroke go? Right there. I need to thin this paint out. It's not going on. It's going on too thick. And so I'll just tap it in for now, and then I'll take the brush a little bit later, and that's when I'll start thinning it out with the brush and moving the paint around even more. Now I'm going to go to this even lighter blue, more of a medium shade. And I'm going to go down with my strokes because that's the structure of the mailbox, and then go down along the side. Same thing over here, following my pattern, which tells me to do some swirly type strokes. Okay, I need this color right in here. Recently, I painted a picture called Sheltering in the Shed, and one of my Facebook friends has generously allowed me to use her picture. I thanked her abundantly because I love the picture. So check it out if you get a moment, marriedart.com. It still should be up there. In fact, I might take it down for a second so you can see the entire picture. All right, take you off. Go back in. Minus. Okay, nope, I didn't take it off. Okay, I can't do that today. Not tonight. This is really light, and I'm not sure if that's the right shade or not, but yeah, I think it's going to blend in. Okay, good. Now I'll do the boards going across, and they're faded out, so I'm going to add some white, a little bit of the peach, the pink color, because you want to have some of the same color in some of the same colors in everything you do, if that makes sense. So let's say you're mixing a brown. Of course, that only makes sense because brown is red, yellow, and blue mixed together. So let me give you a better example. Let me think if you're mixing like a pinkish color, like this color here, pink. I had added a little bit of the blue, a little tiny bit of the gray, you know, so you're going to have the same colors throughout the entire picture. It blends it very, very nicely. If that makes sense, I hope I made sense. If not, tell me about it. I'd like to hear. You don't understand. I wiggle the brush. I'm going to go in with the real dark color in here. Lots of shades, lots of shadows. Same thing here, just barely touching that. bringing my brush sideways so I don't have an exact, I don't want anything exact. This comes down around there, and then it comes around that way, and that one goes up, so I need to get that stroke in, just like that. Is it perfect? No. Do I care? No. Then that color is in here, so I'm going to bring that in there. Doing sideways strokes. I might even go in to the dark. That was a mistake. Because, for the simple reason that it brought too much of the dark out. Added some pink in there. That's good. Bring those colors together. I'm just going to add a little bit there too. And going down that way. Making it attach. Now there's that light pink over here. I have a little tiny bit of blue on my brush, but that's alright. I want that. This little square thing here. It's actually more of a grayish color. I don't know why I thought it was pink. I'll tone it down a little bit. It reminds me of Easter colors. I love it. There's a shadow, but I need to get the white in before I can get the shadow. So let me do that. Get all this beautiful white. Hopefully I haven't muddied my colors yet. Okay. Is that the right shade? It sure is. And then it gets darker as it goes to the top. I'm going to leave some of this area here because there is a shadow in there going across. Add more paint. I want it to be really thick in here. There's a little shadow in there too. I can get that in a little bit later. And this actually brightens up some, and I didn't catch that until just now. So I'll have to fix that a little bit later. Now there's a shadow that goes right across here, so I'm going to put that shadow in. I'm going to let the underpainting show through to give it some depth. It looks like that ledge is causing that shadow to happen. And then the shadow gets a little tiny bit darker. Oops, I grabbed some pink. I don't want that. Okay. Just a little bit darker at the edges. I'll save some of that for the dry brush when I start blending my colors together. And sets these brushes down and grab another one because I just love cleaning brushes. No, I do not. But I just love using different brushes and making sure that I'm not muddy in my paints. Okay, bring some of that color in here. It's got a little tiny bit of pink in it. That's all right. I'm going to make sure that shadow stays in there and that it gets it, that it's given its shape. Coming up here. What's happening is I'm reaching in with this brush and it grabs some of that. I need to put some just solid white on my palette because pink blended into it and I want just pure white. I don't want anything else in that color. So I'm going to go with another brush. Guess what? Another brush to clean. right around where the shadow comes in. I'm going to put a lot of white in here, nice and thick. But I'm going to kind of wait till I'm done in that area because I don't want to pull that paint into my white that's already there. Now the numbers I hate doing, so I will do those in my post painting. That's what I call it, post painting. I'm going to go with a pretty light white with that. I had it set aside for pink for this flag, and that's okay. I can add some pink in there too. It comes to like a, it gets smaller as it goes down. And so I'm going to have to get that in there, but not right now. Okay. The next I want to do are the rest of the blues. So I can set this white brush down, grab my blue brush. That has a little bit of purple in it, so let me clean that off. Because I refuse to grab any more brushes. I will be cleaning until midnight, and I do not want to do that. So, go in with this blue here. This is this blue, so I'm going to just put it in there. Make the brush work for you, and don't you work for the brush. That's what I say. That color is in here. That's just a little bit too dark, just a tiny bit, so I'm going to lighten it up slightly. That's a shadow, and so this above the plate is part of the, it's still the top, so I'm going to go lighter here, come down here, go lighter, because I'm staying true to my values, and my value tells me that's a much lighter value, so stay with it. Don't change the map in the middle of the trip. It doesn't show through there, but it goes across the top. So I need a nice flat. I flattened out my brush, rubbing it against my palette, rubbing it into the paint as hard as I can to come up with that nice sharp point. Come on this side, and it's much easier to work. Unfortunately, it always blocks the view, and I don't see that until afterwards. I said, dang, I blocked the view. Okay, add a little, I'm going to add some of this oil because I have a large area here, and I do want to finish a majority of this painting. Oh, I don't want to spill that, so I'm not putting the lid on, and I'll probably end up spilling it, but I'm going to try my hardest not to. Now the paint's going in very, very smoothly. It was like trying to go on like a sponge against sandpaper. That's the way it felt. Now I don't mind that the brush is doing ridges because I feel this mailbox has lots and lots of ridges to it. So let me try to get this one here going across as straight as I can. And sometimes I will use a ruler. Ruler helps a lot. Go along the side for the gallery style painting. And this tree I didn't do, so I'll be doing that in the later on. I went too high on that. Just a little. Okay, the blue that I really want inside is this blue here. It's a prettier shade of blue. It's got a little more black to it, but I'm afraid that's just going to be too, I think I've got that too dark. So let me mix some more of that color with my brush, and I'm going to put it on pretty thick. And I'm going to leave some of the edges alone because the edges are white. Not covering up my shadow right there. More oil. And I am going to grab a palette knife because there is too much that needs to be mixed, and I'm just going to mix it. All these colors together. Very nice. Okay. And hopefully this is going much easier. Oh yeah. Now that value is just a little bit darker, but I just feel like I need it in that spot. But I am going to stay true to my colors over here where it starts to get lighter, giving it some depth. I could probably use a smaller brush, but guess what? I don't want to clean another brush. Going up and down and sideways with my brush strokes. Okay, yes, I think I went down a little bit too low. I got a little ambitious there because my mailbox actually ends right there. So I'll have to fix that a little bit later. I lightened this up. I added some pink to it to bring the pink in. That's right there. My biggest area, I should have a much bigger brush. Much, much bigger. This one will work. That value is way too dark. I can see that again. So let me grab some white and blend some of that white in there. There's lots of little bumps in there. You just pull them off with a palette knife. Or leave them in like my friend Terry used to do when I was helping him paint because he was paralyzed, and so he was my art friend, and I helped him to paint, setting up his paints, and we became really close friends. Terry and I did, and I really, really miss him. Okay, now what do I want to do? I want to do those shadows because I'll be doing dry brush. So I need a dark color, and I think I can go with that dark blue. So let me try that. A little bit smaller brush. Yes, that's the right perfect shade. And then it comes in here, and then I can take this color here and fix that mistake I made, just going straight down, coming in here, fixing this. And then it goes along the edge here, and then it comes over, and then this has got lots of edge to it too, and it has, I didn't get those shades in earlier, but it's boxy shape, so you make it like the shape of a box. And then this comes down here and over this way. I'm just going to take my brush and bring that in like that. Then come down to 1 or 2 strokes, very gently, barely touching the brush at all. And then there's some of that up here. Come down, bring that stroke down there, come around, same thing here. Holding my breath, saying, oh please, stroke, work for me. Then that comes way down here, and it's just a little bit lighter. I've got that shadow too dark because it starts to blend in, but it's not that light. I need to add it still a little bit darker. Oop. Okay, can't do it with that brush. Guess what? Another brush. Because I need that dark color. And I need it to go on top of the lighter color. There we go. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my paints down, put this lid on here so I don't spill all this oil, which is very, very expensive, and get my dry brush, because now it's time to move some paint around. And you want a really, really soft, dry brush, something that's going to blend, but not paint. So I just take my edges and I start blending. I go with my light colors first. And then I need to add some lines in here. I know this isn't anywhere near finished, but I am finished. Oh, if that makes sense. Okay. I know you understand. Then I normally have like a rag or a paper towel, something to pull that paint off. I am so glad that my camera is not moving around, because that was the worst problem I had, was trying to get, when that camera kept moving around. And now I'm able to come in here with this shade by just taking this dry brush and moving some of that paint around and then getting really close to those edges. I'll try to move out of your way. And then I save paint, you know, so I'll be fixing some of these areas. They're really hard to fix on the actual painting when I'm standing like this at an awkward way. I could even take some of those blends and come in here, saying, okay, I just want to blend that, soften that edge. I like the colors, how they blended in there. Same thing here, blend this together. While that paint is still wet, fix your brush strokes. Don't get lazy. Yes, mother. Make sure you get outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. Of course, in St. Louis, it is supposed to start warming up, so I won't be getting out too much then. But feed the birds when it starts getting warm. Feed the animals. I'm going to come up here and make some of these just to give it a little bit of a shadowy feel with this dry brush. Blending those strokes in. This hardly has any paint on it at all. I'm moving paint around. This needs to go in along the side. I remember I said I didn't mix enough of that paint, so I can't finish that area. This I want to move down some. And I'm leaving some of the strokes where a lot of the underpainting is showing through, because the purpose of an underpainting is a guideline, number one, but it also helps you to have a variety of tones in your painting. Now see, I didn't get really close on this. Now when I'm sitting down, I can't do that. I need to do white going along here, but I have to sit down to do that, because that's when I get my best, straightest strokes. I know you understand. Fix those strokes. Short, long. Oh, there's my little pathway. I just love that little pathway that's in there. I do like how that blends into that underpainting. Let me clean my hands off, and while I'm cleaning my hands off, folks, guess what I want you to do? I'm going to use a little bit of turpentine. I don't like using this on my hands. It's terpenoid. But I do want to get this off my hands. So I'll do a few announcements. I do want to remind you that I live stream to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch. My wonderful husband, Gary, I have paint all over me, just finished making frames, canvases. Well, frames that will become canvases because we have to put fabric on them. This is one of those frames. It looks exactly like this. Very well made. He just did a whole bunch of them, like 40 frames. He's so very talented. And it didn't take him any time. I will have that video, I promise you, really soon on my website, marriedtoart.com. So please do watch it. It's a very good, excellent video on how to make frames and how to make canvases, and how we not only do I put paint on a canvas, but I also help to make some of the canvases. Not a whole lot, but I do some of the work, you know, holding the hammer, stuff like that. All the hard stuff, I call it. Okay, paint every single day. Don't let this pandemic stop you. In fact, it should encourage you to paint because you're home a little bit more. Be successful. Don't believe those lies that the devil tells you that you can't be successful. Because I'm telling you, you can be successful. It just takes time and energy, and it takes a lot of work to be able to sell your paintings. And all my paintings are on my website. You can go there, and please do, if you visit my YouTube channel, subscribe to it, maybe leave a nice comment. Nice, I'm saying. And remember that I have a special offer going on. The first 10 people who go to marriedtoart.com. It's at the bottom, right here. The first 10 people go to my site, get to download free the picture that I'm painting, and paint along with me because you have the video now. I do believe it is time to enjoy my glass of wine. Hopefully, you're enjoying your glass of wine with me. On Wednesday, we're doing Scarlet. And Scarlet is a picture that I took in my garden of a purple rose. And it doesn't really look purple. It looks bright pink, but there's a lot of purple in there. Reminder to, and then on Friday I am designing a Mexican skull, because Friday I would like to do it as a Mexican day, since I am Mexican. I would really like every Friday to do a picture from Mexico, of Mexicans, or something to that effect. The best tool you can buy besides your paints and your canvases is a color wheel. This one has the values. I hold it up. I make sure I have the right values before I even mix up my paint. I have to have, is it a value 5, a value 8, value 10, my value store. Okay, let's get some mariachi music and do the dance. So let me give this a very good shot. I couldn't get it to work earlier, but I do believe it is going to work this time. Call mom and dad. Be that friend to somebody you want to be a friend to you. You know, take a neighbor some food. Ask them what do they need at the grocery store. How can you help them? Dance every day. Paint twice a day. And smile. And tell someone that you love them. That's the most important thing you can do besides thanking God for the many talents that you have. My husband's over there dancing and doing the Mexican dance along with me, and I hope you're doing the Mexican dance with me as well. So thank you for joining me, and God bless. Will somebody please turn out the lights? Oh, I forgot I'm the only one in my studio.
Which light did that remote turn on?